Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man Jay Kevin here with Leif Taylor.
What up?
Just
What up?
having our regular conversation around all things health, wealth, relationships, happiness, everything in between. Just chilling out for the new year, the start of a new was it revelation or what do you say?
Resol-
A new turn
Resol-
around the sun,
Revolution. Yeah, revolution.
revolution. Yeah. Just here getting ready to get started on 2021, Leif. And I don't know if you put the title in there, but just wanted to take this moment, as we always do around this time of the year, just to have a conversation around what are you resolute about? What are some things we should be thinking about when thinking about resolutions and being resolute about something, having a resolve about something, and just capitalizing on the energy and the momentum of where society, where everybody is right now, where their mindset is, and where their hearts are right now. Generally, around this time of the year, a lot of people, uh, you know, at least take at face value, give lip service to, some things that they are wanting to be or are thinking about being when it comes to having some resolve, some goals, some resolutions about something, which is, for better, for worse, whatever we want to say about it, it's something good to give some thought to at various
What's up,
points
Ronnie?
in your life. Hey, what's up? Uh, what's up, Ronnie?
Rodney, I'm sorry.
What's,
It's
yeah, Ronnie.
it's your nephew
You
there.
got Rodney. I don't know why. But it's good. It's good to have. It's good to at least take advantage of some of these moments when the culture is thinking about these things, as far as what you deem important in your life. Mental health, yeah, mental health is definitely big. It's been big, but 2020 really amplified that, and I think 2021 is going to be a year that's really going to be big when it comes to mental health, mental wellness, and just thinking about maintaining a state of peace and calm and clarity about yourself when it comes to some of the things that so many people are dealing with when it comes to some of the troubles that people have and hurdles that people have had to maneuver through 2020. So yeah. Title of the show is resolutions question mark exclamation mark, and just thinking about what are some things that you are thinking about when it comes to resolutions. And Ronnie said mental health is one. That's always on my list. Another one on my list is I think a lot of people think about is our your physical health, your body. And hey, Leif, your mic is mute. And then your body, and then your heart, your emotional health is definitely something to think about, and your spiritual well-being. Meaning, when it comes to spirituality, thinking about and realizing, considering that there's more to your life than meets the eye, and that you are here with purpose and by design. You're not here by happenstance. You're not here by accident. If you are here for a reason. And it's up to each and every one of us to kind of think about that and uh, you know, come to a realization about that and start living that out.
Yep.
Thinking about purpose and spirituality. And there's more to this world than meets the eye. So, like, just thinking about some of the things that we should be considering, we want to think about when it comes to resolutions and some goals and things. And just to get started, one of the things that made me think about that we often go back to is thinking about values.
Yep.
When you think about your values and what's important to you, that is when you have your values. That is what we base our principles on, and those principles is what guides our behavior and guides the direction of our life. So, you know, when you come at it from that angle, you don't have to think about the end result. You don't have to focus on that. If you just think about your values, then that's going to take you to the place that is a place of happiness for you. Does that make sense? Like if you know, I'm thinking about the 4 C's right now: connect, contribute, cope, and cook. You know, these are 4 areas in which, if I think about some of the values in those pillars, that's going to bring me to a place of contentment in my life. Thinking about connection. If I value good connection where there's not a lot of where there might be conflict, but I'm able to resolve the conflict, because you're not gonna have a relationship without conflict. But if I have good connections where I'm able to manage and maneuver and resolve conflict, have connections with people that is the situation in which is mutual love and appreciation on both, on all parties involved, versus having, connections where it's rife with trouble, confusion, conflict, those connections. I don't value those connections. I don't want those connections. I don't seek out those connections. Right. So just thinking about that, when it comes to cooking, good food, good nutrition, that's something that's very important when it comes to your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and it helps you when it comes to your spiritual life too. So when I value good food versus junk food, that's going to determine where I end up in my life. If I value junk food, I'm going to have a junk life, and I'm going to have those pounds. I'm going to have those sicknesses, those illnesses, those diseases. I'm not going to feel too well. I'm not going to be in a good place in the long term if I value junk food over good food. Just thinking about coping. I value sleep. I value, peaceful situations. I value gratitude. I value spending time with people who are like-minded. Yeah, drink more water. Yeah, that's a good one. Drink more water.
It makes me want to take a sip right now.
So just thinking about that, coping, there's having some good coping mechanisms, and then contributing, just realizing that I'm here for a reason. We're here for a reason, and valuing that it's better to be of service than be served. It's better to make yourself useful, as my father would say. Get out there and do something to make yourself of use to somebody, someone, or something. Because we're not here to just sit back and receive. We are here to serve and lend ourselves to something. So just thinking about those things, Leif. What say you? What are some things that we should consider when it comes to thinking about resolutions 2021, and some things that people might want to think about?
So going back to the value aspect of things, just be resolute and make sure that you focus on what you do value. Because sometimes the things that you care about can go by the wayside if you really don't focus on them. So, you talked about the 4 C's: community, cooking,
connecting, contributing.
I always mess it up.
I do too.
Connecting and contributing. Like Ronnie said, he said, give back. What's up, Mike?
What up, Mike? Hey, what's up, Mike?
And then Ronnie said, give back. Yeah, same thing, man. It's like, if you don't focus on those things, if you don't focus on what you truly value, then you can just be caught up in just the ebbs and flows of life, as opposed to being.
How easy is that to get caught up?
Because you got to be very proactive, because, if you don't have an agenda, it's very easy to become part of somebody else's. So make sure that you focus on that. And one of the good things about New Year's, a lot of times people give it, it's like, why are you waiting till the New Year's to do all of this, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the good things about it is the fact that, for the most part in the U.S., everybody takes a break. You get a break on the 24th and the 25th typically. or you get a break on the 31st and the 1st, right? You know, New Year's Eve and New Year. So during that time, you actually, if you decide to actively and proactively utilize that time, you can take a break to focus on what it is you really want to accomplish. And so for myself, you know, I've really focused on this probably 2 or 3 months ago, and still have been just really trying to formulate my own process for the incoming year. Just really just period. You know, just formulate a new process. You know, just take time to reevaluate your, you know, your life, do a post-mortem as one of the things we do in tech, where it's like if you launch something, you do the pros and cons of how you launched it to see what worked, what didn't work, and you really analyze it so you can move forward with a better product or a better positioning and service or whatever going on, you know, going forward in business. And so I advise everybody to do that with their own personal lives. Like, okay, take an inventory of 2020. What was the good, the bad? What would you do differently? What things can you capitalize on? What things can you eliminate? If you value great friendships, how can you solidify more of those? And how can you eliminate the bad, toxic relationships that you've had? If you value health, then okay, what did you do that didn't quite work this past year, the past few months, or whatever? You know, what tweaks can you make to make it more beneficial for you, to make it more convenient for you to be healthy? If it's finances, it's like, okay, one of the big things now, everybody's back on the Bitcoin train, right? Bitcoin is rising. Everybody cares about cryptocurrency again. So what things did you do in the past that wasn't beneficial for you? And how can you course correct going forward, right? And so you have to actively think about those things, actively think about what you value. If you value better finances, then reevaluate how you spent money, how you made money, what went wrong throughout the year, what's going wrong now maybe, or what's going right. You know, don't just focus on the bad, but focus on the good and maximize that. So a lot of times, you know, we do tend to focus on the bad and not really, you know, get out what was good for that particular year or that particular moment, particular project or whatever. And so we miss out on opportunities to you know, like I said, double down on it and do more of what worked. So go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so actively seek out and celebrate some of the accomplishments in 2020, and really hone in on those. Is that what you're saying?
All the above.
Even if it's, you know, it didn't have to be anything big. Even if it's just saying that, hey, I survived 2020 and I still have my sanity. I still have my mind, and I still have, you know, my health. Just celebrating those things.
But even go deeper than that, right? Don't keep it generic. It's like, okay, I survived 2020. Why did you survive? What were the things that you implemented that helped you survive where others didn't quite do so well? What was it that kept you mentally clear in certain situations, right? Really focus on that, because it's very easy to forget. Because it's very, you know, sometimes it's difficult. We don't realize our own successes at times. And it's not only just recognizing the success, but why were you successful, right? Really focus in on it. Take time to do that, because, you know, we're often, you know, I'm one as well. You know, we're always constantly learning, looking at things, focusing on things, and so on and so forth. But if we don't really take time to, you know, that's why journaling is very good. If you don't take time to really write down what those victories are, you may not even realize you had them. And you could miss out on a lot of opportunities in your own life, things that you're already doing that you don't give yourself credit for. And then, you know, you find yourself in a situation where you can't recollect, you know, like when you start getting doldrums and getting the dumps kind of thing. It's like, man, I don't ever do nothing well. I don't blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you've done a whole lot of things well. You just didn't take time to recognize it. So really be very proactive. It's not going to just happen. You need to actively seek out your own victories and record them, because those are the things that'll give you the mental confidence to go forward and do bigger things.
Man, you're hitting on something. I was listening to Dr. Snipes, you know, on one of her presentations, she said the exact same thing that you said, and that we don't give ourselves enough credit in celebrating some of the, a lot of things that we do. It's just we don't see them as things to be celebrated. We don't see them as big things, but really, be proud of yourself and give yourself room to, be excited and happy about some of your accomplishments, whether they're deemed big accomplishments or not. So yeah, that's very important as far as keeping track of your successes, no matter how big or small they may seem.
Yeah, and Ryan asked about, tell us more about journaling. So journaling is just simply, and there's all kinds of journals to have, right? My personal journal, I really don't focus on victories necessarily. I focus on just things that I'm thankful for, things that I'm trying to accomplish for the day. But in terms of journaling your accomplishments, I actually made a chart for those that want to keep track of their day on 30-minute increments. I'll post that in the link here in the comment feed here a little later. But it's really just about just taking time to take inventory of your day. You can do a summary, you can do a detailed kind of thing, like, okay, this hour I did this, that kind of, it just really varies. It could just be a journal of your thoughts, but what it is really just a habit of recording daily your mindset, your state of mind, the things that you want to focus on or whatever. And then you can go back and read some of those things. And even this, right? Like one of the most powerful things for me, and when it comes to journaling, is just the fact that I've done it. Like, I'm not big on writing. Like, I've done the things where I was like, okay, I'm going to write a post and a day. And I did that for like maybe 10 days, 20 days. But for journaling, the one thing that was good for me is just to go back, because the only person looking at it is me. So I don't worry about judgment. I don't worry about any of that. It's really just for me cultivating the habit of writing for me personally. And then when I look back and it's like, oh, okay, I only journal like maybe a paragraph a day, but I have 70 pages worth of journaling from when I started, because I announced it on here, and I started back in August of 2019. And I've been journaling every day with, some days here and there that have been missed, but I didn't stop even if I messed up and didn't and skip some days. It's like, okay, I got to get back on it. I got to make sure I do it. But it just, one, for me, that's a goal that I can look back on, and it's like, okay, this works for me. I can do it, even though I didn't think I could. I said I was going to do it. I didn't think I would be successful at doing it, but I was determined to try it anyway. And just those little things is like, okay, so now if I have to write something, it's not such a big deal mentally for me to sit down and just write something.
Yes. Yeah. That's one of the benefits or side effects of journaling is we've talked about this in the past. Hold up. CV Marshall said, I do video journaling so I can go back and look at myself, mood, body language, etc. Yeah, video journaling is definitely good. You might want to even think about making it public as far as vlogging. That's what video journaling is these days. Exactly, Ronnie says, holding yourself accountable, a mental diary kind of. Yeah, there's you can have all sorts of reasons why you're journaling. And there are all types of journaling too. Like there's free writing journaling where you just sit down and you write your thoughts.
Your mind.
Yeah. Planner journals. I've done that before. There's gratitude journals, just that writing about the things you're appreciative of, or specialized journals like you're journaling your dreams or your art or your prayer. For 1 year, I journaled a script. I journaled Bible verses, but they were centered around counseling topics and subjects.
Yep.
So I did that for a year, and it's crazy. Like after a while, you start to really soak the verses up, and it becomes second nature. Yep. And I noticed that when I don't do it as much, it's stuff can fade away so easy, which is why it's important that we have these habits, we have these things. Constantly working on them and have them ingrained, because some habits are hard to break, and then some habits can, they can disappear in an instant. So yeah, there's different reasons why you want to journal. Some of the benefits, that we talked about is it helps keep your thoughts organized. Like you said, it makes it easy it makes it easy. It helps you become a better communicator. I noticed that when journaling. You gain the ability to be more articulate and be clear and more concise. And it helps you become an all-around better communicator that helps you in every area of your life when it comes to just living and trying to get things done and just trying to maneuver through life as far as relationships.
Even us doing this show, right? It's a form of journaling. When you say better, it makes you become a better communicator. I think about when we first started doing this show. I mean, Kevin was doing some form of it before he and I decided to do this show. But just the fact that we do this on a consistent basis, talking is no longer an issue, at least not for me anyway.
It's not for me as much. But since just be transparent, since we've slowed down, I've slowed down a whole lot. So I noticed, again, when you don't practice something, when you don't stay on top of something, it can fade away real quickly. When we first started, and when the things I were doing before we started, I was also very active as far as
you were writing a lot then.
I was writing a lot. And I was in a position to where I was having to speak on a regular basis in front of in front of groups of people. So when you don't stay on top of some of those things, then it makes it, when you don't stay on top of that momentum that is built, it's hard to rebuild that momentum. So I'm encouraging everybody who's listening that when you start something that is important to you, then, stay on top of it as far as your skills, and keeping that sword sharpened. You got to keep it sharpened, and you got to stay on top of it. And but yeah, some of the benefits, like it improves your writing. We talked about that. It helps relieve stress. Going back to mental health, mental clarity, and mental wellness. It's a form of just getting things out. Like it helps with your emotions too. As far as just getting things out and just letting it go. It helps boost your memory. It helps inspire creativity. It helps do a number of things. So yeah, journaling is definitely something that I've done, and I recommend that other people do too, as well as if it's as far as 2021 resolution. When it comes to improvement,
definitely a good habit to start. And other things, just going into like resolutions or whatever. You talked about your values, and again, just revisit the whys. Revisit the why you have, why your values are your values, because that can solidify your actions. It's like, okay, if I have a good reason of why I'm doing something, then I'm more than likely to continue doing it. But if it's loose and kind of like ill planned, then the likelihood of the consistency behind it will kind of fade away unless you have a reasonable why. So just make sure that you develop that. Talk to other people. Going back to the 4 C's community. Throw it out there, man. Just put it out there, just so you can be held accountable by somebody. Unless you're the David Goggins type, to where you can just will yourself to do whatever you want to do. Accountability helps, and that'd be friends, family, or just somebody that can hold you accountable, sometimes financially, sometimes physically, whatever. I remember watching the 2020. Was it 20? I can't remember the name of those shows, but anyway, it was like they were holding people accountable to weight loss, and what it was is they took before pictures. They took before pictures of them in their underwear, and they were like, "If you don't hit your goal, we're going to release this on the internet." And and 90% of the people actually completed it. There was like one or two that was like, I didn't make it. So they were embarrassed, but they didn't show their pictures. But again, just having some kind of painful consequence to your thing, that can help as well. Because again, in that it wasn't even a matter of gain, because typically you start something to gain something, but the pain of the consequences is what actually kept them accountable. And they didn't give them training, they didn't give them nothing. It's like, okay, here's your plan. Either you do it or we gonna show you a picture, right?
That's the thing about pain. Pain makes you move.
Exactly. Pain is a great motivator. It really is. And so those kinds of things, just utilize it to your advantage. Let's see, CB says,
Actually posting my videos. Just got too busy to keep up with the posting.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if there's something that you want to do, just set a schedule for it, right? Set a set schedule, because you are already doing it anyway. Just make sure, or even automate the process, right? If you have videos that you want to post, just whenever you upload them, because now I don't know how you're posting your video, CB, but there's all kinds of ways to automate that process. So after you record it, just save it somewhere and just have it pre-scheduled ahead of time, and it'll throw it out there for you. So again, go ahead.
You look like I was going to say, just Facebook in and of itself has automated posting availability. If you, I don't even know if you have to really look for it now, but it's available.
I know it. I don't know if it's available for normal accounts, but I know business accounts have them.
Yeah, or if you have a public, I think it's called a public page versus a personal.
Yeah,
it's available. But we just look using your social media accounts as far as journaling is something that we all pretty much do these days. And just anytime you're posting, you're journaling. Really, you're just you're expressing yourself. You're getting your thoughts out there. And then it's always interesting to go back through your timeline. Now they have your memories that show up, right? And it's like, oh, I was thinking this around this time. And you may even see some patterns. You may see some cycles that you go through. You start seeing some things like, oh, hold up, I was thinking the same thing this time last year. You'll start to see a lot of things. Really, you'll start to see what the Facebook makers see as far as on a personal level.
Good thing that you can do as well, if just from an accountability standpoint. Because you can actually go through the whole list of your timeline. It's like, okay, what did I think about on this day, these past few years, right? And like you said, if you start noticing some patterns, is like, look to see if there's any missed opportunities, right? There could be opportunities is like, man, I said I was going to do this and I didn't. Now look at me, right? And use that as motivation as opposed to condemnation. Because a lot of times people, like, especially in cryptocurrency, like everybody, they were like, oh man, I should have did that. It's like, okay, well then what are you going to do now? Quit focusing on what you didn't do, but take this opportunity to focus on what you can do right now. And sometimes that kind of information misses a lot of people. They just would rather sit there and complain and still be inactive in doing something.
Well, it goes back to your mindset, in past shows, we talked about having a mindset of growth versus one of
abundance
versus one of scarcity. Said, oh, I missed out. I'm doomed. It's like, no, there's opportunities every day. And like you said, if you can go through your timeline and see where you might have missed some opportunities and might not have followed through on some things, and use that as a point in which you can say, okay, I see I missed something here or I messed up there. What's happening now and what can I capitalize on? It's funny you said that, because I thought the same thing, about the cryptocurrency thing. And, I'm thinking, oh, I done missed out on what everybody else is capitalizing on. It's like, no, just look, man, and then realizing that, it made me search, and maybe do some research, and it made me realize that, hey, there's a lot of opportunity out there, no matter where we're at. So just You gotta look forward and take advantage of.
Yeah, and also, let's see, I almost lost. See, I think I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so just take advantage of even the pain of just thinking about that. It's like, man, I could have done this, but really, going back to what Kevin was talking about in terms of values, it's a chance for you to just refocus what your values are, right? Because sometimes you miss out because it wasn't a priority then. That's just you just literally were not ready mentally, physically, financially, whatever the case may be. You may not have been ready at the time, but the fact that you're reflecting on it, the fact that you're pondering on it right now may mean that you're in fact ready to do something about it. So don't let that feeling go to waste, right? Don't let that pain go to waste. I'm serious. Pain, like I said, pain is not only a great motivator, it's a great teacher as well. And don't let your pain go to waste. And what I mean by that is if I hit my head, on a bar, I'm walking out the door and I hit my head on a bar and I don't course correct the next time, then I've let that pain go to waste. Then I'm repeating the same mistakes over and over. And you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to repeat the same mistakes over and over. So if you feel the pressures or whatever it is, again, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically is hot right now. So that's the only reason I brought it up. So if you feel the pain of like, man, I missed out. Okay, regroup, reset, rethink, get yourself financially prepared to, we've been talking about dollar cost averaging on Facebook. Shout out to Lamar, Bitcoin Zay, for holding a group on Clubhouse, Bitcoin Black Billionaires. Definitely check them out. Check them out on Facebook, on Coinda, wherever. There's plenty of good people giving out good information. But again, just refocus your energy. Focus on abundance versus scarcity, and just consider your positioning in terms of the things you're trying to do, especially now, the New Year's resolutions. You're becoming resolute about what you want to do, what you're gonna do, so on and so forth. So be resolute and do it. That's the whole part of resolution, means that you're determined, that you resolved in your mind that something's going to be done. So make sure that you complete that.
Sidebar. So you've been having a lot of conversation about Bitcoin, specifically with Lamar and the group on Clubhouse about like dollar cost averaging and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thanks, Shauna. That's my wife, y'all. But yeah, don't let your pain go to waste. So on Clubhouse, there's specific groups about everything. Clubhouse is an app. It's for the iOS system. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad, then you can get on the app. Typically when you log on, like first time person logging on, if you have a friend that's already in there, they can see you and let you in, and they won't lose an invite. So anyway, back to it. So in the specific groups, there's specific cryptocurrency groups. Lamar and Bitcoin Zay have one. There's some other groups on there as well that are talking about, just Bitcoin. They have different rooms, different days. Some days, people are talking about Genesis blocks. Other days it's new beginners, like, trying to figure out what this whole cryptocurrency thing is, so on and so forth. So on there, we've been talking about dollar cost averaging and really just making people take the plunge and do something instead of just wondering. Just do something. Everybody has different risk tolerances. If you don't understand it completely, just invest $5 and just see what happens, right? You can invest on Cash App, PayPal, Coinbase. There's some other ones. I think you sent me one. I forgot the name of it.
Celsius.
Yeah, Celsius is one, but that's kind of different. Yeah,
crypto.com.
Yeah, crypto.com. So there's all kinds of them. But again, if you're curious about it, there's plenty of information. Go to bitcoin.org, learn about it. There's plenty of information, and just get some skin in the game, because whenever you buy something, typically you're literally invested in it. But typically your mindset is to know more about where your money went.
Yeah.
And so like one of the things that we used to do back in the day to get people to understand Bitcoin was just give them a wallet and send them some Bitcoin. that was the easiest way to really like learn about cryptocurrencies. It takes the fear out of it. You know, and you know, they were giving away like some money so you could buy some Bitcoin. And again, if you have Cash App is probably the easiest and cheapest way right now, because I know Cash App, dropping some gems for you guys. Cash App is, in terms of cost, is cheaper than Coinbase. If you buy, it's actually cheaper than PayPal as well, because I pull them all up and just see which one is the cheapest, and then I'll just buy. You know, I've bought from all of them, but Cash App is probably by far the easiest to do, and you can send your Bitcoin out of your Cash App onto a personal wallet or however you decide to store your money. So,
interesting. And why would you say that this is you know, an important conversation to have, or this is something that should be considered, you know, going into 2021, or we're in 2021 now, but why is this a conversation or that we should be having and something we should be considering as far as something maybe be resolute about learning about?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why it's important is because, like, one, everybody's interested right now because of the all-time highs, right? So Bitcoin is at 29,000 something right now. I don't know what it is. I tend not to keep track of it. Go ahead. You guys say something?
Well, I was about to say, back in March of 2020, it was like, what, like 14 or something like that?
Yeah, like 14, 15. 14, actually, it may have been as low as 9,000 this year. I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest. I remember at one point I was telling somebody, yeah, man, you need to get some Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, it's at 10,000. You should have got some, you know, that kind of stuff. But I don't remember. But anyway.
Yeah, it was 9,160.
Yeah, so it was tripled almost, roughly.
Hold up. In March 13th, 2020, it was at 4,900.
I guess. I don't know.
That's right.
I usually don't keep track of it, honestly.
As far as the low, and then the high was 9,000. Okay, well, my bad.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason why it's important, like I said, is because it's hitting all-time highs. It could drop down again. Who knows? But the thing that you need to think about is like, okay, if this is something that you're interested in, why wait? Now is literally the easiest time on earth to buy some Bitcoin. Right now. It's never been this easy. Like when we were like back in 2013 trying to give it away, we had to get people to download our wallet. We had to tell them how to log in, and then we had to send it to them. And then for them to cash out, they either had to sell it to somebody or go to a place like Coinbase. And I'm not even sure if Coinbase was around at the time, like, to be honest. When we were doing this. So it was very, very difficult. Coinbase was like one of the first US exchanges, if not the first, where you could actually cash out. So again, right now is the easiest time to do it. And it's as simple as just taking some time out. And when I say time, I don't care if it's 30 minutes a day. Just learn something about it. If that's what you need to understand what investing in it is. If you're not interested in it, then cool. You're not interested. There's plenty of people. The stock market has been around forever. Plenty of people that have never invested in stocks. That's fine. There's plenty of people that have made wealth. I'm trying to think of how many people have gotten wealthy without stocks. Yeah, actually, there was some people on Clubhouse actually talking about that. So I mean, it's not to say that this is the only way to make wealth or anything like that. But it's worth noting to keep track of the reasons why I got in it versus the reasons why somebody else may get in it are probably very different. But I would just advise anybody to take a look at it, see if it's something that's of interest to them. And if it's not, just keep it moving. Find something that you're interested in and invest in that with your time or your resources. That's my take.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to at least have it on your radar in that this is where society, this is the world where the world is going in terms of wealth and ways to transact and economy, and just thinking about how cryptocurrency has been deemed a new asset class. So that presents an opportunity for the masses to maybe finagle their way up the pyramid of power and wealth, I guess you could say, more easily than in times past, given that this is something that's new and kind of just emerged on the scene.
Yeah, like I said, just from an accessibility standpoint, right now is by far the easiest time to attain some Bitcoin in terms of purchasing it.
Yeah.
Or even, and also like we talked about it before, you can earn it. There's all kinds of ways. It was an artist. I was just in a room on Clubhouse. They were just talking about the guy. Like there's some artists that made several million just from selling art through. I forgot what he was doing. Like I never got involved on the art side of it, even though I knew people that was in it at the time. I just wasn't into art at the time. I was into tech. Like
right.
now I'm into art and not as much into tech. So
well, I did see a documentary where a guy was accepting it as tips. He's an Asian guy playing a saxophone or something. Yeah. And he was accepting Bitcoin as tips.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Again, like now, we're in such a different time now that just take money. It doesn't matter. I mean, because you can just buy it like instantly. So yeah, whether you take it in tips or whether you take cash in tips is really, going back to what Kevin said, is what do you value? Do you value a Netflix subscription or a cup of coffee or whatever, a pair of shoes over purchasing a stock or some Bitcoin?
Potential wealth building vehicle.
It's really, everything is based on value, meaning that, okay, right now, like for example, every Bitcoin person that's really, the most ardent Bitcoin maximalist, they still purchase stuff. So they've exchanged the value of their cryptocurrency or their fiat or whatever it is for something else that they care for. So again, don't get so caught up in the fact that you could have made millions or whatever, because chances are, if you don't have millions, you may not have made it anyway. Because by the time you found out about it, you wouldn't have had enough money to invest in it to be a millionaire. So don't get so caught up in that, as opposed to, okay, how can I get more financially sound? If that's what you care about. If you're getting into something to be financially sound, then you need to be working on those principles anyway, regardless of the vehicle that gets you the wealth. You just need to be focused on that, because it's all about, again, we talked about values. What do you value? What is important to you? What are you cultivating your mindset toward? What are you becoming resolute about in the beginning of this new year? If you care about your finances, then focus on your energies on that. Focus your energies on reading about how to be financially sound. Focus your energy on all of that. For me, I'm super interested in art. So literally, I invest a large portion of my time studying the art industry, and specifically for me is animation. So I study animation nonstop. And so again, and I was very focused and goal oriented toward that goal. And again, so anybody that's interested in whether it's cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, whether it's health, whether it's wellness, mental, whatever, focus your energy. He said people should look at it as long-term investment. Yeah, CB, that's personally, that's what I look at it for. Like, I put money into Bitcoin and I don't plan on cashing out on it. So I kind of don't care about the price. I do and I don't, if that makes sense. Yeah, right. I'm happy it's going up, but I'd rather for it to be way cheaper, to be honest. But that's just me. And so again, so I don't look at it as a means to have a cash cow, so to speak. It's like I put money into it because I think there's value in it for other reasons. And again, I personally don't look at Bitcoin as being my financial savior. But other people, and also real quick, if you think with a scarcity mindset, you'll end up losing all your money, because there's plenty of people out there trying to scam you. And that's why I advise anybody to take your time. We talked about it in the group earlier. Make sure that whoever it is that you're following, make sure that they have a record or a history prior to these highs, because one of the things that I think about is, don't trust somebody that's selling water during a rainstorm, because that's not when you need it. Right now, you don't need to be a genius to see that cryptocurrency is going up, or Bitcoin specifically. So you don't need anybody to really take your money and invest it for you. And you just get on a Cash App and buy it. Like,
well, I got the special water. It's
yeah.
raining,
So
but
yeah,
my water.
exactly. It's like, this is filtered Bitcoin. You can get it shinier, right? So don't get caught up in that. Like I said, you can go on any of these exchanges. If you know somebody that's selling Bitcoin, you can buy from them. It's super easy to do. And so, yeah, just get on one of those if you want some. So, but it's definitely worth understanding. Read the white paper. The white paper may be, too technical for a lot of people, but read it anyway, just to get an idea of the premise behind it. And it may open your eyes to the possibilities of other things. So that's all I got to say about that.
So some other things that, people generally think about when it comes to resolutions: health, getting to the gym.
Yep.
That, it might be something that it doesn't have to be anything big when going to the gym either. You could take small steps when you go to the gym. Just even, I think we talked about this in the past too. If you just get the habit of just going to the gym, just walking in and walking out.
That's it. Just showing up.
Yeah. So, just doing whatever it takes to implement some of the things that you may be thinking about. You don't have to make, think of things in terms of big things. So focus on the small.
That's very small. Like I said, going back to the journaling example, literally, like when I started like the savers thing, we talked about this. It's I'm terrible with these acronyms, by the way. I remember the acronym, but not remember what the acronym stands for. So it's scribing, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and silence. Yeah, that's what it stands for. And so one of the ways that I implemented in my life, I've kind of scrapped some of them, but the one thing that I kept consistently was the scribing and the affirmations. And I already said it. Yeah, my wife's trying to correct me, but I got all the letters in there. But one of the things that all I did was literally, I was like, I'm just gonna dedicate a minute to each of these, right? So you're talking about, what's the SAVERS? It's like six letters, right? So 6 minutes. I was like, I'm gonna just dedicate a maximum of 6 minutes to doing this to make it a habit. And again, like when I write in my journal, I write no more than a paragraph, if that. And it's enough to get me focused. It's enough to refocus me, because typically what I end up doing after I write in my journal, I plan my day, right? And that was just the byproduct of me journaling. The byproduct was, okay, I'm literally going to write out my day and how I'm going to spend it. And so it's just, all of these things are just to get you over the mental hurdle of starting. Starting is by far the hardest part of any task that you can do. But once you get started, once you get started, then it's like, okay, I'm already here. I'm already doing this. I might as well keep going, right? And so that goes back to what Kevin was talking about in terms of momentum, is that sometimes it's hard to pick up momentum. So if you have momentum, don't let that momentum die, because starting again is the hardest part of any journey. Like CB said, he said, just put one foot in front of the other and you'll get there. And some people are afraid to put their foot down, right? So just get started and take advantage of that momentum so you don't stop.
Yeah, man. It may that when we were talking about starting, that speaks to the importance of having a community and good connections. When you were talking, you made me think about when I first got this one position at this one job. One of the things I had to do was get business owners to sign agreements. And if you've never had the privilege of doing that, it could be nerve-wracking. when you first start, I mean, it's just nerve-wracking.
You mean I gotta go to these strangers and get them to sign something? What?
Yeah, and so it's when When you're a newbie at that and you're talking to a hardened 30-year veteran business owner.
Oh, yeah, they're not moved by much.
None. And it took, just taking that, getting started, it took my supervisor for him to like really take me by the hand and guide me through the process. But once he did that, after that, it was like, oh, this is it. This is, it wasn't that hard after that. After he showed me the process on how to approach, how to talk,
once you actually did it, right?
Yeah, once you actually do it, that's yeah. And the first couple of months, it's like riding a bike. You're wobbly, but after a while, you get used to it. It's just another
become accustomed to
task.
the pain, right? Yeah, it's like, and then the pain goes away, and that's the hardest part for a lot of things. It's just like learning, right? When you learn something new, it's feels very awkward and sometimes painful, and it's like you don't like it. You find every reason not to like it, even if it's good for you. But once you get past the awkward stage, then you can get in, flow, right? If you watch Soul, you can get in Zen or whatever they called it, to get in the zone. And once you figure out how to get in the zone on something, then that's when, you have fun with it. That's when, it takes a while to get to mastery to where something can become fun because you're too busy learning. And you initially want to get to the fun part. Like I know you used to be a musician. I don't know if you still play or not, but it's like just like learning like keys, right? It's like, okay,
chords, scales.
Get around all these people that are in the zone, and it's like, man, I want to get to that place, but you gotta put in the work, and the work can feel very awkward to get there. But again, it's the reason why you do something. If it propels you far enough, then you can eventually get there.
Yeah, community is definitely important when it comes to a lot of things in life. So that's all I got, Leif. Unless you got, some other areas, things you want to dive into. Just talking about 2021, and this time of the year, like you said, these are occasions that lend themselves to you either appreciating, celebrating, and just thinking about some of the things that you may have gone through and just being grateful for, and thinking about some things that you've done right that got you to this point that you might want to hone down on to help you not only just survive 2021 but thrive through 2021 and just come out on a better than when you went in. So I think a lot of people are approaching 2021 with eyes wide open, antennas up, just prepared for whatever, prepared for the prepared for the unpreparable. So hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So
always.
Who knows what's coming, but just to be resolute about the things in your life that's going to help you, thrive and help those that are connected to you do well too.
Yep.
Just thinking about health, wealth, relationships, and purpose. And those are the pillars that we often talk about. Everything else in between we talk about too. Who knows what it could be, but we'll talk about that too. So that's all I got.
My quick advice for just this year, and it's the same every day, really. I don't. Yeah, I'm not big on New Year's in terms of a celebratory type thing. But in terms of just taking advantage of the time, taking advantage of the mindset, link with those that are of similar mindset. Going back to what Kev said about community, find others that are looking to quote unquote level up. Find others that are looking to better themselves. Find others with similar interests. Hold one another accountable. Accountability is huge, and really hone in on your why. We talk about this quite a bit because it's so valuable and it's so important. Hone in on the why. Hone in on your values that perpetuate your why, and you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish. The mindset that I have now versus the mindset that I have maybe 6-7 years ago is entirely different. It really is because it's like, okay, just taking account of the successes and utilizing that to to propel you forward, and constantly going back over those things to make sure that you don't get stuck in a rut of complacency, that you don't get stuck in a rut of lower thinking about yourself. All again, journaling is huge. It's so important, and really, it's not even braggadocious. Sometimes we have a false humility of thinking that if I celebrate a win, then I'm bragging. No, that's not what humility is, and most people's humility is a false one anyway, based on the core definition of it. So don't make yourself smaller than what you are, thinking you're being humble. Acknowledge those things that work, get rid of those things that didn't, and figure out what your next steps are gonna be, so that when you do finally decide to take that step forward, that it's in the right direction. So again, take this time to reflect, to ponder, do all of those things. If it's a family thing, if it's a change in your family in terms of direction of your family, sit down with your family members, talk with them. Like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Like, one of the things that my wife and I do is, if we're thinking about something that's kind of different in terms of the habits that we currently have, that we want to, shift and move forward, then we literally sit down amongst ourselves, like, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm thinking. And oftentimes we're thinking along the same lines. Sometimes it doesn't always line up, but a lot of times it really does. And just verbalizing those things actually helps rehearse it in your own mind to get you focused in and locked in. Okay, I'm really going to do this thing, right? Because anytime you're doing something new, you've never done it before. So there's a lot of unknown, and change is the biggest stressor on earth. Change meaning doing something different, having different circumstances. That's why everybody gets all up in arms about anything that reflects change, right? So when you start thinking about that, make sure that you develop a game plan behind it. Your game plan is going to have holes, especially if it's something new you don't know. You can research all day long, but you'll miss something until you start doing it. So you want to make sure that you actually act on those things and be consistent. One of the things that I learned in 2020, but I've learned it before as well, but is just really being consistent, whether or not you see results. That's the key. Understanding that the work that you put in is actually being reflected and it's doing its job for you, even though you don't see it yourself. And so keep that in mind, because there's been plenty of times, especially for me, this art journey is new in terms of my career direction and all of that. And there were times where I was like, man, you know what? I don't know, because I keep doing the same stuff over and over, but every time it just worked out for my good. And so it just taught me to learn to respect the process, honor and respect the process, which means you got to show up every day and do what you're supposed to do. So make sure that you do that, and 2021 will be great for you.
Man, I couldn't say that. Can't top that, man. Not take up take up an offering plate. I can't top it.
Well, hit the keyboard then, man.
Gives me shadow music. 2020 was a year of self-reflection. Yeah, I think 2020 was 2020 was a year of self-motivation. Okay, I see it. Yeah, I think 2020 had a lot of people thinking and reflecting about the good times, 2019 and before.
It was definitely
yeah, 2020 is definitely a year that's going to stick out for a lot of us. And so one thing we do is take 2021, and if it's no more than just shelter and survive for some of us. And I'm being serious just because I keep up on a lot of news, so I know where things are for a lot of people. Yep. So just depending on where you're at, do the best that you can with what you have,
Exactly.
So that's all I got, ladies.
Yeah, sometimes breath is a victory in and of itself, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's the basics, man.
Yep.
Two shot guys in the mic. Jay Kev, Leif Taylor here, just having a conversation about 2021, some resolutions. What are some things we want to think about, values and principles, and think about some of the pillars when it comes to connecting and contributing, cooking, and just coping. So that's all we got for today. Hopefully you got something of value now that you've paid us your attention and you spent your time with us. So we hope that the return on investment was worth your while. Definitely appreciate you. We don't take you for granted. Hit like, share, leave a comment, and let us know what you think. That's all we got.
Take care, everybody. Love
Peace
you
out.
guys. Peace.